What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Bossing, and in this episode I am going to be covering, probably right next to the giant mole, one of the easiest bosses in old school RuneScape, the Cave Kraken. Now, there are two variations of the Cave Kraken. One is the little guys that reside in Kraken Cove, kind of on the outside of the Kraken's lair, but you can also go into a special part of the lair where you will fight the Cave Kraken boss. And like I said just a couple seconds ago, this boss is incredibly easy. As a matter of fact, in this video I'm not even going to be showing you guys a kill clip and talking you through it, because there really isn't anything to show and talk you through. I can do all of that with just a simple image, and this video is going to be more or less what you need to know about the Kraken and a gear setup that will get you started. But before we get into all of that juicy stuff, if you like seeing beginners bossing guides and other kinds of money-making methods for old school RuneScape, tap that subscribe button down below and remember to hit that little bell icon. That little bell icon will let you know anytime I upload new content or post on the community tab of my page. Alright, so as usual, first thing we will get into is the stats of the Cave Kraken. The Cave Kraken has a combat level of 291 and a hit points level of 255. The Cave Kraken boss's max hit is 28 and its weakness is magic, and it actually has a typeless magic style attack. Now what this means is it is going to hit through any overhead prayer, so it doesn't matter what you're praying, you're going to get hit. The best defense here is going to be ranged armor because it gives you a high magic defense. So when we get into the gear setup, I will explain that a little further. Moving on into the Kraken's combat stats, well, there pretty much are none. Attack, strength, defense, magic, and range, all level 1. The only thing it has are defensive stats, plus 130 to magic, and plus 300 to range. We are going to be using magic here to attack the Cave Kraken, so that plus 130 to defense is not going to matter at all because the Cave Kraken's magic level is 1, and magic defense works off of your magic level. Alright, next up we are going to see how to get to the Cave Kraken in Kraken Cove. But before we do that, I should mention here that the Kraken is a Slayer monster, and it is a Slayer boss, which will require you to be on a Slayer task to actually kill and do damage to the Cave Kraken, let alone enter Kraken Cave. Now, you will need a Slayer level of at least 87, and unfortunately you can only be assigned these at level 87 Slayer, so a Wild Pie will not help you here in boosting. So if you're checking out this guide and want to kill some Cave Kraken, make sure you are at least level 87 Slayer. Alright, so fastest way to get to the Cave Kraken and the easiest way is going to be by Fairy Ring. Now the Fairy Ring teleport AKQ will take you near the Piscator's fishing colony, and in the red circle is the location of Kraken Cove. It is just a short run to the west from the Fairy Ring. Now, once you enter Kraken Cove, you will find the Kraken boss to your north through the little doorway here where you can see the red exclamation mark on the map. Now, the great part about this is you can right-click here and create yourself an instance for 25,000 GP. Fortunately, you don't have to have the money on you to create the instance. As long as your bank is unlocked, it will pull directly from your bank, so you can create an instance where you will be the only one fighting the Cave Kraken. The Cave Kraken does get pretty packed at peak hours, and it can be hard to find a world. Personally, I always create an instance no matter what. Moving right on to the recommended stats. Well, I only have one for you for the Cave Kraken, and the reason I only have one is because on my Slayer alt, I can kill the Cave Kraken, and I do just fine. It might take me a little bit longer because of that low defense level, and my magic level is generally low. But I did start killing the Kraken at level 75 magic, which is what I am going to recommend that you also have. And level 75 magic will allow you to use the Trident of the Seas or Trident of the Swamp, whichever one you can afford. Personally, I started off with the Trident of the Seas, made some money, and upgraded to the Trident of the Swamp. Now, with level 75 magic, you're most likely only going to see between 8 and 10 kills per trip. It will go up when your magic level goes up, but that is good enough to start in my opinion. Moving on into the gear setup, we're going to want to focus on magic damage here because the Kraken has no magic defense, so we want to increase our hits as much as possible. For this setup, I have 3 magic damage boosting items, the first being the Slayer helmet, and it is imbued, so I am getting that plus 15% to accuracy and damage through magic. I also have an imbued Ceridome God Cape, which will further increase my magic damage by 2%. And last, for magic damage boost, I have an Occult Necklace, which gives you an additional 10% damage. Now the occult necklace is pretty cheap. It's under 1,000,000 GP, might be just over depending on the time that you're watching this video, but these 3 items will significantly increase your DPS and give you faster kills and faster task times. As for everything else, I have 1,000 bronze arrows because you will need to be poking whirlpools, which I will show you in just a minute. I am going to be going with the Trident of the Swamp and the Book of Darkness as my offhand, Black Dragon Hide top and bottom, Bearer's Gloves, Mystic Boots, and a Seer's Ring. The magic accuracy doesn't really matter that much, but if you have a Seer's Ring here, well, you might as well use it. Why not? Upgrading this setup is actually very simple as well. In place of the Black Dragon Hide top and bottom, you can use a Carol's top and bottom if you have the money for that, or if you have big money, you can use an Armadillo chestplate and an Armadillo chain skirt. They all work well and increase your magic defense. As for the glove spot, if you can't afford it, you can use a Bracelet of Torment, which will give you another 5% towards your magic damage. You can swap out the boots for Eternal Boots, and that will give you a little bit more magic defense as well as some accuracy that you don't really need. And in the ring slot, if you can also afford that, you can go with a Ring of Suffering imbued, which will further increase your magic defense by 20. Over in the inventory, very simple. I have a magic short bow, and this is for the bronze arrows, so I can poke the 4 whirlpools, which I will again show you in just a second. A Drawman staff to use the fairy rings, and 10 house teleport tabs so I can get myself out after my trip is over. Fill the rest of your inventory up with sharks. You can fill it all the way up and drop one when you get there, but I just leave a spot open because I am max stats, so that one shark isn't really going to make a difference for my trip. And now we're at the part of the video where I usually show you guys a kill and talk you through it, but there's honestly no need for that with the Cave Kraken. What you can see on the screen here, there's 4 small whirlpools and 1 giant whirlpool. It should be pretty self-explanatory. So these 4 small whirlpools are going to be where the Kraken's tentacles are. These Kraken tentacles will throw magic attacks at you. They only hit 1s and 2s. The big one is the one you have to worry about. So starting off the fight, you will equip your magic short bow, and you will fire 1 arrow at each one of these small whirlpools, which will wake the tentacles up. After you have woken all 4 up, you will then switch over to your trident and your offhand, and then you will start maging the center whirlpool. That will cause the Kraken to come out and start the fight. Now the only thing you want to watch here is the big Kraken. He can hit up to 28, so just keep an eye on that. If you have higher magic level with higher magic defense gear, you can stay here for a really, really long time, especially with the shark drops every now and then. So if you're looking to kill some Kraken, this guide will pretty much get you going right where you need to be. This is one of the easiest bosses in old school RuneScape, and I really don't think you guys need to see any more than this. Just remember that, poke the small whirlpools and then poke the big one with your staff and continue on your kill. All you have to do is stand there. There are no mechanics whatsoever to worry about. Watch your HP and have a good trip. Alright guys, that is going to do it for this very simplistic Cave Kraken guide. I hope that it gets you moving in the right direction, and I hope your trips are plentiful and full of Trident of the Seas and Kraken Tentacle drops. So with that guys, if you like this video, please leave a thumbs up down below. They really help the video's popularity and they help it spread around. With that, I will see y'all on the next video. Take it easy everybody.